Well, good morning, everybody. This is Guy again with Newbie Bees, and it's early on a Saturday morning here in October, and I've had several people ask me about doing a maybe a little brief video on oxalic acid and vaporizers, and now is certainly the time to talk about that, to do that, and kind of explain what's going on. The Varroa mite is probably the worst enemy of the bee, and it's kind of just like a tick on a dog. And what it does is it gets on the bee and it sucks the blood out of a bee just like the tick on a dog does. And it will. It's not so bad during the spring and summer, but during the winter months when the bee is at its weakest stage in partial hibernation, and you got something constantly drawing that blood or that fluid out from inside that bee. It's what kills most of the hives during the winter. They just cannot survive through it. So I'm going to show you a little homemade thing that I made here, and maybe you can make it yourself. Are you familiar with vaporizers? Run anywhere between $79 and $300 or $400, so they can get really expensive, especially if you're a new beekeeper. You only have 1 or 2 hives, you know, maybe you don't want to invest that much money. This is what I have here. I don't know if you can see that, but this right here is just a little simple, it's a coffee heater, just like you plug into your cigarette lighter in your car to heat your coffee. And so I ordered this online at Amazon. This little thing cost me about $6. And then this right here, this little long handle thing that you see, that's a marshmallow skewer that you use to put marshmallows on at a campfire. And then what I did, so I bought the little coffee heater. I took it, and of course it comes with a cigarette lighter plug, but I cut it off and mounted me two little clamps that I can mount to like a 12-volt battery. This is just a 12-volt lawnmower battery, and I got that just because it's easy to tote around. And then I used some JB Weld, and that's just a 2-part epoxy glue that's really strong. It's almost like metal. So I just kind of used it to bond this little marshmallow skewer to the side of the little coffee thing here. Mounted a little piece of wire. This is just a piece of wire. I used some JB Weld on it, and that's just simply to keep it from turning over and spilling out once you get inside the hive. Now this little cup here, that's just a little old 3/4 brass cap that goes on plumbing pipe, and you get that at pretty much any hardware. Now mine was a little tall, so I had to cut it down some, but you know, I got it to adapt. And that's all it took. So I've got a $5 coffee warmer. I've got a $1 marshmallow skewer. And I've got some little clamps here that cost me maybe 50 cents a piece. So I've got less than $10 in this whole setup. And what we're going to do is we're going to put some oxalic acid in here. For those of you who don't know, oxalic acid is the safest thing they have found for bees. And what you're going to do is safer than using the wet type form, because you're vaporizing this. It's going to go up through the hive, and it's found to kill the Varroa mite. And the best way to do this is usually in 3 stages. You do it 1 week, then you wait about 7 days, you do it about again, then you wait about 7 more days and do it again. And the reason you're doing that is simply because as the baby bees and stuff hatch out and come out of the hive, that second week you're killing the Varroa mites that are on them, and the bees that are out flying and coming back in. That gives you the opportunity the second and third week, any of that might be out, that it'll kill the mites that are on them as well. And that way, if you do it 3 weeks in a row, you know that everything is covered. You get the mites off of them. It's just a better success for them during the winter time. Now, if you're not familiar with oxalic acid, this is it. And it's just simply wood bleach. It has been used by craftsmen that do woodworking and stuff for years and years and years to bleach stains and stuff off of wood. It's an all-natural type product, so it won't hurt the bees. If you use a little too much, it's not going to hurt them. You don't want to put a cup full. Just this little cap full is all I use. So it's not going to hurt them because it's an all-natural product. If you ever eat or ever heard of anything called billy goat grass, which is we kind of grew up on as we were kids, it's a yellow clover. It grows on the fence lines. Or it's a clover with a yellow bloom that grows on the fence lines, and it's real sour. So as kids, we used to love to eat that stuff because it had such a sour taste. Well, that sour taste in that thing is caused by it's producing oxalic acid. So if it's safe for you to eat, it's certainly safe for the bees. I have already done these hives once or twice already. I'm thinking to get ready to do them one more time, because 7 days has passed, to try to get the rest of the mites off of the bees. So that's what we're going to be working on today. So it's very simple. I got my little rod here. I got my battery here. I got me a rag to block the front of the hive. You need to block the front of the hive, because if you don't, as soon as you set off that oxalic acid, all the bees inside the hive is going to try to come out of the hive and gather on the outside, and then you've defeated your whole purpose. They've all come out, and then you haven't got any oxalic acid on any of those bees that have come out. So basically, I'm just going to take and dip some of this in here and try to get some of this inside the cup if I can. I may spill some. There's a little clump right there. That's not going to hurt a thing. We're going to push that down in it, and that's not going to be too much, because it's going to melt and turn to a vapor, and that will not hurt the bees at all. So we're just kind of cleaning that off there. And the bees are not crazy about it when you do this now, so keep that in mind. They don't necessarily like it a whole lot, but it's not going to hurt them. So we're going to put our battery right down there. As you can see, I've got a lot of bees this early in the morning, but I've got a lot going in and out today because they're gathering pollen off of centipede grass. They love the pollen off of centipede grass. So if you've got some centipede in your yard, you know, don't cut that this time of the year. And then we're going to cover that up to keep those bees from coming out. And we're just going to simply plug up our battery just like that, turn it on. We're going to wait about 2 minutes or so, and just a little bit, the vapors, it takes about 2 minutes. That's a lawnmower battery. It doesn't have a whole lot of start to it, so it's kind of weak, so it takes a little longer than a real strong car battery, but it's also easier to tote around. So anyhow, you can see the bees are out foraging and begin to come back in. You want to kind of get it back in the hive as far as you can, so that it gets way back in the hive, because the bees in the hive will begin to fan. As they begin to fan, they'll blow a lot of that back out the front door if you don't close that up. So anyhow, that's just a brief thing on how to do bees and using oxalic acid, which is completely safe. And hope you enjoy the video, and if you have any questions, let me know. Pretty simple to make. You can make the whole thing for about $10, which is a whole lot cheaper than $75 or $80. I think I bought the oxalic acid from Barnyard Bees. They carry it in stock. You can get it anywhere on Amazon, you know, because it's just a wood bleach. That's all it is. It's wood bleach. So and it works great. So there you go. Hope you enjoy the video. Thank you.